cracking. All right, so real or fake? Charlamagne should be forgiven if he raped Jessica Reid. This is according to Jessica Reid's recent interview on the Star in the Morning show. In 2001, 22-year-old Leonard Larry McLevy.
Leonard.
Get
it right.
Leonard, my bad. You know what I mean? AKA Charlamagne Tha God, drugged and raped and intoxicated Miss Reid when she was 15 years old during his pool party. Now, 17 years later, Jessica Reid wants to reopen this alleged sexual assault case. Charlamagne denies these rape allegations, but hypothetically, if the allegation is true, should we forgive him? So, real or fake, Charlamagne should be forgiven if he raped Jessica Reid. Now, this is going to be tough for me because I don't think he did at all. This is something where he's put it out in the open several times, I think. There's probably 3 public records where you can pull a Breakfast Club interview, a DJ Academic sit down, and then maybe like another Brilliance. And I believe it's also in his book, which I did not read. I listened to the Breakfast Club Monday last week, and the gay dude who usually calls in, Trav, called in and said, yo, you're doing a good job at blocking the negativity coming your way. This is something you already put out there, blah, blah, blah. You know, and he was like, this is already something that's in your book. He didn't address it directly. He didn't even state it and like go into it, but you knew what he was talking about. And Charlamagne was just like, yo, live your truth so no one can hold it against you. And I think that's legit what he did here. So I think if someone rapes someone, then they need to get dealt with. But at the same time, this was an open and shut case, so it's hard for me to pull up a hypothetical if he did. But
like, I mean, hypothetically, if in fact he did rape her.
I mean, that's easy. He needs to be dealt with. But could you forgive him? Could I forgive him? He was around 22. He was 22?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming he never did anything like that again. And when you hear the story, I mean, look, everyone's been in high school, yo.
Don't panic.
Nah, listen, I mean, I'm from Metco, so I party with the white boys, yo, a lot. You know what I mean?
Did you rape with the white boys?
Never.
Why? Making sure.
Never. Never seen anything go down either. But what I do know is every dude's trying to smash. And at every party, they're all on pills or drunk. I think I said this in a text to y'all one day, but I was like, yo, women just need to know that niggas is trying to hit. Niggas need to know, yo, she can't consent. I feel like that is the literal clash and argument whenever it comes up with these kinds of cases, because it's never clear and it's never cut and dry. It's always, I don't know, there's just always like something that has to be ironed out. And so it's, you know, if he like clearly raped her, then yeah, he needs to be dealt with, yo. But I think the nigga's innocent. And it's an open and shut case. This is Nat Turner all over again, yo. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how I feel.
He should be different, but
he should. But
you mean Nate Parker though?
Nate Parker, my fault. Who did I say? Yeah, well, yeah,
he did Nat Turner.
Right. Nate Parker, but that's my thing. If he did, then yes, he needs to be dealt with. But it sounds like it went to court and was proven otherwise already. So, you know.
But would you forgive him?
Would I forgive him? Yeah, I would.
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Yeah.
That's because I'm assuming that he's done what he needs to. Like I don't know what forgiveness means sometimes. I'm like, you want him to die, or does he get a chance? Like whenever we're talking about young people, young adults, like that growing process, you get a shot with me. You know what I mean? So if he was 22 or something like that, trying to throw a pool party and all this other shit happened, and he did get dinged for it, assuming that after that he would do the jail time and came back out to get his second shot, then yeah, I would forgive him.
Nah, we're not assuming jail time.
So what's under the assumption with this though?
That he did it.
When?
That he did it.
When 17 years ago.
So we're saying that.
So let's say the
even
case
though
gets
he
reopened.
still went. Yeah, this case is getting reopened now, and it's under the. Then I guess whatever consequences has to come to him. That's if. I just want to put that out there.
Nigga, real or fake? You know what I'm saying? I'm back.
Yo, the statement's fake, but.
Okay, all right, we could. All right, so.
Hold on, the statement is we should forgive him.
I'll give my answer.
Yeah,
it's real. Then. It's real. My fault.
That nigga all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
It's real.
So I feel that if, not everybody is going to have it in them to forgive, but I say that it's real that he should be forgiven, and then granted he gets the necessary help. When I first heard about the story, I didn't know how long ago it happened. It happened in 2001 before he had this show. He's constantly getting dragged on social media for hating black women, and the backlash, the response to this story, like, people want him fired. People say, like, oh, well, I'm not surprised that he did commit this act because of the way that he talks about and demonizes black women. But I think in order for rape culture to end, and I say this with, like, other practices of discrimination, it's like we have to maybe consider to implement something that's never been done before. So what if you're forgiving of this person, granted, with the hope that they get help and they stop their, problematic behavior. So I think that the statement's real.
That was clear and concise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna say real.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
However, I gotta explain. Right, because if in fact he raped her, I'll be willing to forgive Charlamagne only because I do listen to the Breakfast Club. Not like I listen to the clips on YouTube, and I listen to Brilliant Idiots, right? And I've seen him progress. Like, years ago, Charlamagne was a certified savage. The way he talked to, like, female guests was uncivilized.
Sniffing seats.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, talking about their vaginas, what they mouth do, all of that crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then, recently, he started, like, progressing and actually addressing stuff like rape culture and everything. That's when he gave himself the donkey of the day. But this is where now I get confused, because if you already admitted to being a participant in rape culture, right? When you look at this case, let's say he is innocent of actually penetrating Miss Reid, right? At the very least, you knew your team, you knew your peoples was trying to smash. And so you're purposely getting underage girls drunk and high for the opportunity to rape them, right? Now, back then, dudes may have thought, it's not rape, right? Because maybe they go like, oh, we give them the alcohol, then they consent. Because, now when you think about it, in 2018, a woman can't consent if she's influenced by alcohol or drug use, right? But back then, in like the 90s, nobody thought about that type of shit. So back then was a little different. Yeah. But because he knows better now, and the fact that he's trying to shut people down, like shutting down videos, threatening to sue and all of that stuff, to me it's like it's really hypocritical, because if you know rape culture is a problem, you should be like the one, which actually, let me take it back. Because if I was in his shoes, I'll probably do the same thing.
I was going to say, I ain't letting that shit
I got a book coming out. Fuck y'all niggas.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I'm saying.
fuck all y'all woke niggas. But what I'm saying pretty much is I view it as a major problem. And to me, and this is why I disagreed with Rome, because it's not the same thing as Nate Parker, right? With Nate Parker, at the very least, she testified in court initially. Jessica never got to testify because her moms didn't want her to testify. And that's why Charlamagne pled out for a smaller charge, because she never testified. But when you read the documents, her friend was like, she was waking up and there was a dude kissing on her, you know what I mean, in the room. And then when she looked over, she see Jessica in the corner crying butt naked. You see what I'm saying? And so to me, and it's kind of like I've listened to Brilliant Idiots enough where they kind of joke about rape and stuff like that. Well, they still kind of do. They're lighthearted with serious topics, right? But when they're talking about it, yo, Charlamagne knows what his boys be doing. And then when you seen the academic interview, Charlamagne's talking about it, it was kind of like, oh, these chicks. He never once said homegirl was 15 years old. And I'm going to be 100. Yeah. At 22 years old, nigga, I was never looking at no 15-year-old, bro. There's like levels to savage. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. To me,
we don't know if he knew right away. Or did he know right away?
Nick, she claims that, based on the interview with Star, she said they were friends and he tried to holler multiple times.
Yeah. And then Star asked her, he said, did he know your age? And she was like, he knew and then she stopped, and then she said, well, he knew I was in high school. That's what she said. That means she didn't tell him. That means she didn't tell him.
High school, bro.
Could have been 18, senior year. I don't know. I'm just saying he didn't know. She could have been.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. It can't be excused.
Yo, man, exactly. As long as you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, bro, what's going on, bro?
Oh, no, I'm just saying it can't be excused. That there's a possibility.
I think it's easy for men out there, though, to look at a woman who's 15 without any idea that she's actually 15. Like, Amber Rose and Eve were vocal about being strippers from 15 to 16 years old. And it's like, even though the expectation is that those women...
That's different, though, because strippers, though, if you're a patron of the strip club, you're assuming every stripper in here is at least 18. You're thinking the owners are doing their due diligence to making sure that, yo, no one's going to jail, this, and the third, right? But Charlamagne was hosting a pool party, bringing in a whole bunch of shorties, right? Now, some of them could lie and say, oh, we're over 18, this, and the third, right?
There's that, yeah.
However, forget the age. Just the scenario is funny style. And the fact that Charlamagne's always telling Wax, like, yo, you're a rapist because every time shorties come to your spot, you're telling, you know, homegirls, yo, you got to do me and my mans. And so it's like, Charlamagne, you know how your boys get down. When you're talking to Ack about it, you was like, I don't know what my boys were doing. Like, shut up. You know what you know what time it was, bro. Yeah. That alone, I'm like, guilty of something, allegedly. So even if he is, though, because I've seen him progress, I feel like he understands the problem now. And I think he's grown from it. And the fact that he's used his platform to educate other brothers not to do it, not to participate in rape culture and things of that nature. Me personally, G could forgive Charlamagne. So I'll say real.
So let me ask you a question. Where did you see this, like, progression? Like, when would you say, like, around
the time when he did when he gave himself Donkey of the Day, right? Because I think he talked to, what's her name? Angela Rye?
No,
it was like Angela Rye. Yeah, and then so, like, I guess they had like a conversation about like rape culture, and then Charlamagne was like, yo, he actually did not know. And I could actually attest to that sentiment because I recently just found out about rape culture. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what's right from wrong. However, I never put a term to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
As we like go on the episode, I'll give like an example. But like, I've witnessed dudes do some funny money shit, and you're like, that don't seem right.
Yeah.
And now I found out, oh, there's a term for that shit. It's called rape culture. It may not exactly be rape, but damn near it's close enough.
Well, it's interesting because I asked for a few reasons. One, it very well could have been he got the heads up, like, hey, this woman's about to reopen this case on you. So, you know, so I'm sure that he's seen the pending backlash. There was another instance where, you know, everything that started to come out about Lee Daniels owing Dame Dash money and like some of the crooked practices with the people that Monique were talking about. And I think so I asked that question because there's been a few moments that Charlamagne's been called out for his like hypocrisy, and I think that he probably got the heads up that the victim wanted to reopen the case. So the story regarding Monique, when Monique was on the show talking about how she wanted to boycott Netflix, like Charlamagne just kind of seemed like he was like dogging her. But then when the story came out about how Dame Dash had to regulate to get his money from Lee Daniels that was owed, I think Charlamagne tweeted something saying, yeah, Dame Dash has spoken about this before. Like, he spoke about this on the Breakfast Club a couple years ago, that like he let Lee Daniels borrow money. And someone responded to that tweet and said, so then how come, if you knew that, then why were you giving Monique such a hard time when she was on the show? Then
he addressed that, I think.
What did he say?
He said that's not what he was up there to talk to Monique about. He said he was talking to Monique specifically about the amount of money Netflix was trying to pay.
Yeah, the Netflix deal.
Yeah, like he wasn't there to talk to her about anything else.
I mean, I think that that's still like relevant to what she had going on, and it was a very convenient thing for him to omit, especially when you talk about him not really being favored in the community or like in the demographic of black women. There was also another story where I think when Amara La Negra, who was on Love and Hip Hop, and she talked about being a firm advocate for breaking down like colorism barriers. And he said something like, I don't think colorism really exists like that. Like, I don't even really think that that's a thing. And a woman who's a blogger, I can't remember her name, spoke on that and then pulled up an episode where Jermaine Dupri was on the show talking about Escape and talking about how Escape was called ugly for a long time, and how these were, of the 4 members, 3 dark-skinned girls, and I think had like a lot of challenges marketing them. So I feel like with Charlamagne, I feel like there's examples of things that he conveniently forgets or like conveniently just doesn't admit or acknowledge on the show.
Or maybe he's just playing devil's advocate.
That's a convenient
It could
thing to
be.
play
A lot of
devil's
times he
advocate
plays-
about.
Yeah, he could be just playing devil's advocate.
White devil's advocate.
Yeah, you know. Like,
White devil's advocate.
Yeah, he always says, I'm going to play
like
white
that.
devil's advocate.
yeah, he could just be doing that just to make it entertaining or something.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, there's a
Because
way that
I remember that I can't even say her name, but
Amara,
yeah,
La Negra.
the Afro Latina
Yeah.
sister. I remember that one, and I was like, Charlamagne, you definitely know better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How do you not? How could you possibly not think that colorism is a thing, and you grew up like with all of this understanding of race and racism?
Sometimes, yo, but I think he just does that just for the controversy,
Right.
for the clicks,
Right,
for the views, and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? So
Right.
He's never playing devil's advocate when it's somebody that's like, when it's like and I know it's not a conversation pertaining to like race or identity or anything like that, but when somebody is in the hot seat for something, like he's the go-to to bring up like those questions that nobody dare ask. If it's an artist like Yachty or any new artist that's getting roasted for not being a real rapper, he's always roasting the shit out of him. He's never playing devil's advocate in those instances. So why play devil's advocate with a topic that's so serious, with something that's so real and
get
so
the views.
prevalent?
it's all about the views.
But it doesn't come
It
off
was a
as
huge
like
moment.
Like I'm telling you, like think about it. If that scene never happened, like half the people wouldn't even listen to that interview in particular. But because it was like, yo, Charlamagne was downplaying colorism in Latin America. Whole bunch of people started clicking on that shit. A bunch of people started making videos in response to it. So he was trending. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta say and do dumb shit to get it popping.
It's just so weird to me though, because it doesn't come across like you're playing devil's advocate. It just looks like you're being incredibly dumb and then fueling, unless he's trolling off of the black women don't fuck with me, but they're gonna retweet everything that I say and do that they don't like, and then that's gonna get the most hits or trends. Because when he tweeted that thing about how black women need to build more platforms like Tommy Lauren, he was like top trending on Twitter when he did that, and he said that he was just very, he did give himself donkey of the day and all that, and he retracted, but he did to a degree say like, oh wow, you know, it's interesting how I feel like he still said something to a degree, like now the same way that they use their voice to speak in opposition to me, they need to use their voice in order to build and elevate their platform. So it seemed like he still didn't get the point.
Yeah, I think
It's like, it's kind of painful to listen to that sometimes, because when you want to talk like you're this, like Charlamagne's, you know, I feel like he's like also in like a Hotep category that I can't really coin as of yet. He's definitely a Hotep. He had a Negus hat on. He had a Negus hat on that was probably made in China. You know what I'm saying?
That makes a nigga a Hotep, dog?
Yeah.
he has a show called Brilliant Idiot. So I don't think he's claiming to be super wise. I think he just knows what gets people popping. He knows what pisses people off. He knows that when you get pissed off, you're going to talk about it, which is going to drive his ratings up. And I think he's just good at what he does at the end of the day.
Yo,
You
and
know what I
honestly,
mean?
too, if you listen to Brilliant Idiots, right, there's times where, like, Schultz will say stuff and will get him in an argument, right? And so sometimes you could just tell Charlamagne's not really thinking his arguments through. He'll just say stuff that comes right out of his mind.
Yeah.
And if somebody challenges him on it, then he goes, I fucked up, whatever. It's kind of like sometimes myself on this podcast, right? I would say something on the fly, and then I would think about it like, damn, I probably shouldn't have said it like that. Or I should have worded it in another way, because it may come off like the way I don't want it to come off. You see what I'm saying? And I think Charlamagne, he should know better, because I'm pretty sure he's been taking like, you know, public speaking training and things of that nature, just to be a syndicated radio host.
Right.
I'm pretty sure like these corporations don't play. They're like, hey, Charlamagne, take these classes. So he should know better, but at the same time, that's his bread and butter. the controversy is what sells for Charlamagne. You know what I mean? It's
He
not
doesn't-
envy and that's not their job. His job is, get under their skin, and that's what he does.
Right. But it also makes me think about, I wonder if he has media in the pocket, because it's interesting that nobody's really talking about this. I forgot who exactly it was that was on the show, and they were saying basically, like, don't get it twisted. All of these people are millionaires, you know what I mean? Like, they all have their, like, respective ventures. So I think that his claim to fame is being the, what I call him, the Black Howard Stern? I would call Star the Black Howard Stern, actually, before I called Charlamagne that. So it's definitely like his claim to fame, but he doesn't necessarily, like, need it.
I will say this.
If he's got,
He's getting
like,
ready to
powers
do
of attorney that can get shit taken down, you know what I mean?
He's got a show on HBO coming out, yo. I'm pretty sure
He got
his
a book that's
evolution
about to
is
come
about
out.
to be like really shown. I think.
Yo, so this is what I'm gonna say. I think
I feel like that might get shut down because there's already a petition. I don't think he's gonna get fired.
Nothing's gonna get shut
But
down.
there's already a petition floating around for him to get fired. I don't think he's gonna get fired.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this.
But I definitely think it's gonna, like, hit his pockets.
Shout out to Charlamagne's lawyers, because
Yeah, seriously.
whatever squad he got, Nate Parker should have did the same thing. But Charlamagne is a part of the machine. He got HBO. He got iHeart, Viacom. He got that major publication
that's
behind him.
right.
He
New
got
York Times,
powerhouse
As many
corporations.
places as Breakfast Club is syndicated.
Thank you.
You're right.
So
yeah.
he has so many corporations invested in his success that it makes sense why they were like, yo, Star, shut this shit down. We ain't fucking with you like that. Don't play with our money. But however, if in fact he did what this girl alleged that he did, yo, man, it's gonna sooner or later it's gonna come to light. Especially if they could reopen the case. Even though, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. So Charlamagne did give his DNA back then to the police, and this is my theory, right? Now, this is just G's theory, not facts, right?
Okay.
So one time on a Brilliant Idiots, my man Charlamagne said something wild, right? He was like, he can never run a train on a shorty, not because it's like the wrong thing or it's not moral or whatever. He was like, I just can't do it because my dick can't get hard.
Yeah.
So now, to me, when I think about this situation where the girl Jessica Reid was like, oh, she was drugged and stuff, and she remembers Charlamagne on top of her, maybe Charlamagne wasn't like penetrating. Maybe he was trying to, but he just couldn't get erect, right? And because he couldn't get erect, he's just like, yo, fucking, I'm out of here, you know? So that's what I think happened. And because she was drugged, she remembers bits and pieces. You know, like when you're like high or drunk or whatever, you don't remember the whole shit, but you remember like certain things. And so maybe she actually remembers this dude actually being on top of her. Or let's just say he was trying to kiss her or something. He'd even try to penetrate. Maybe he was trying to kiss her or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe that's when she finally blacked out. And then one of his mans and them did what they did. You know?
When I hear the story from his account, I don't remember if it's the same academic interview or whoever, but it just didn't make sense. So he didn't do it at all. And then he said he heard the following day, like the day after the party, that XYZ was at the police station. And so he went to go down there and vouch for him, but it turned out that nobody was at the police station. And then that's how he kind of fell in the bear trap. And
not to mention, he tried to front like he wasn't even 21 because he was saying like, oh, the police said he wasn't even old enough to drink. Motherfucker, you're 22, you're fucking lying. And that's why, to me, I'm like, the fact that you could lie to the story, and he never said her age when he was talking to Adam.
He did not say her age.
So I'm like, yo, he knows what he's doing. And that's why when Rome said it before, he was like, yo, if you put it out, if you paint the narrative, then you control the story. That's what he did with Academic. He controls the narrative by painting like, oh, she's just a random shorty. She falsely accusing a nigga. Like, I don't trust him. He's my man's in him, but nah, he's wrong on this one, yo.
I mean, I ain't saying paint the narrative. I said paint your truth, but you can do that too, I guess. I just didn't want you to summarize what I said to that. That's what you said. I didn't say that.
No,
I was just saying that
but that's
put your
what,
truth out.
Yeah, but nigga,
I mean, that's how you interpret it. I understand.
Thank you. It's all perspective. You know what I'm saying? So
nah, I understand. But hey, I'm not saying.
Because imagine,
I'm not trying to say he tried to paint it
said
anyway.
15-year-old in
I'm
that
sure he knows
interview.
the age is a problem, but I think that
even Ack would be like, whoa, my nigga. You know
he definitely knows the age is a problem. I think he was protecting that, of course. I think he was definitely protecting that because he knows cats will just hear that and then throw every other fact out the window.
Facts.
You know what I mean? But I think that is to protect the truth that he is trying to say, which is he did not do this. He said, I think he actually admitted to his boys doing it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he admitted to his
But he
boys.
ain't say no names though.
Yeah, he ain't trying to say names. You know what I mean? I can't.
I ain't do it. I know my mans in them were raping. I'm not a rapist.
What's the names? I mean, let's get to the next topic. You know, so put out an album.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hot. Hate it or love it.
The topic. It's a good segue. We've been on it for a little bit, but that was real or fake. That was real or fake. It looked like everyone said that was real, yo. You know what I mean? So
real, but for all different reasons.
All different reasons, but the real statement is Charlamagne should be forgiven if he did rape this girl. So real or fake.